Do you think that the military-industrial complex is hiding any knowledge around fundamental parapsychology? And the reason I
Probably,
ask,
probably, yeah.
the reason I ask is because Ben Rich, who was the head of Lockheed Skunk Works on his deathbed, said we have the ability to go to the stars whenever we want, and we've built it. And a journalist asked him, well, how do we do that? And he goes, well, have you heard of ESP? And the journalist goes, yes. And then he goes, well, that's how. And then there's a guy named Bob John, who was a plasma physicist, who worked at Boeing, who then went on to run the Princeton Paralab, the parapsychology lab. And so I think about that, connection as well, where he's working at Boeing, and then he on plasma, and then he goes on to work on sort of parapsychology. And I wonder if there is an interesting connection there. And I think about the modern UFO story, and it's usually trying to push people away from thinking about parapsychology and towards more kind of nuts and bolts materialist reductionist explanations of how the craft works. And in fact, a lot of people say when the crafts crash, there's nothing inside the craft. So there must be an interface between the mind of the occupants of the craft and the craft itself. And so it has to be somewhat parapsychological from that perspective. I think it's parapsychological from the viewer's perspective of the craft as well. And it feels like that's the thing that's been stigmatized and marginalized. You don't want people thinking about parapsychology. You'd rather them think about, speed of light limits and physics.
Right. Which takes us into a realm that's probably beyond our time frame tonight.